Now that the NFL Combine is over, we got the numbers, we saw what they did in drills. It's now time to rank these rookie wide receivers. We're going to do it in the tier list like we always do. Usually every week I add a few players to the bunch, trying to shake things up a bit. But this week I'm not. I'm just going to go off of what we had the week prior. We're just going to re-rank those off the new data. I'm going to let you know that there are some changes, but it's not that dramatic, but it could be. It could be, because you know how it is. We get into ranking these players, we start moving guys around based off our gut. We start things off with analytics, and we rank it based off gut. Let's just get started with tier S. I don't know what you want to call this S tier, because really there's no studs in this draft. So, Jackson Smith-Njigba, Quentin Johnston, Jordan Addison. So this is our time to talk some ball here. Jackson Smith-Njigba, probably the wide receiver one in this class, probably close to being locked into that. Quentin Johnston did well at the combine as well, but did not run the 40. Neither did Jackson Smith-Njigba. Jackson Smith-Njigba posted an elite 3-cone where Quentin Johnston jumped out of the building. And then you got Jordan Addison here. Made some question marks here. Ran a 4.49 40-yard dash, 4.55 on the first run at 173 pounds. Came in a few pounds light, and then did not run an optimal 40, and I think his vertical was like 34 or 35 inches, so things aren't optimal on the athletic spectrum. However, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater, because we have borderline elite production out of here. Early breakout age, big time sophomore season over at Pitt, transferred over to USC and did very well. Very good collegiate career. Tape checks out with the route running and ball skills. So you do have some skills here. And then on top of that, you're going to have the draft capital. I don't see him falling out of the first round, since he's going to be drafting the first round. There's a good chance he's going to hold his value for some time. Just the odds versus the production and the draft capital. Just the thing, there are not many 170-pound wide receivers pushing a 4.5. He's pushing a 4.5. That's productive in the NFL. People are trying to make comps to Devonta Smith. Remember, he is a little faster than that. He's also got more length, and he has a bigger wingspan. So there's a lot more to it. He's got a bigger catch radius. There's a little bit to it. He's a little quicker. He's a little faster. Got more catch it radius. Came from Alabama, where he blew up. Jordan Addison blew up, but a little bit different. So we got some different here. You can't make that comparison. There's just not many wide receivers there. However, since I'm talking out of both ends here, you're trying to figure out what I'm thinking. High-end production, though. Good breakout age. Good everything else. First-round draft capital. Draft capital plus production is good. That means you're good enough to not bust. The odds are good that you're going to do something in fantasy. That being said, let's go to Tier A. Let's make some sense out of this. Josh Downs, Zay Flowers, Giant Hyatt. And we got a new guy. He's been climbing up the board all offseason. He's been climbing up each ranking video almost. And now I pushed him up. Marvin Mims. Josh Downs didn't blow up the track. Of course he didn't. Had a decent vertical. But he was all right. But he is a slight wide receiver. Another 170-some pounder. 171 pounds. Ran like a 4.48. Thing about that, we got the production profile. We got the breakout age. With all that stuff. Draft capital is probably going to be decent. Late first, early-ish second. Somewhere in the second. More than likely in the second is where we're going to see him. Zay Flowers, on the other hand, might get drafted in the first. Looked like he was ready for the combine. Had a decent 40, I think 4.42-ish. 183 pounds, if I remember. I should have these remembered since I had done all these videos. I think I'm close. Zay Flowers, a little bit faster, a little bit bigger, gets downfield a little bit more, has good tape. He's a little older. Another extra year in college compared to Josh Downs. Draft capital is going to matter between the two. Jalen Hyatt. Everybody was expecting him to run the 4.2s, 4.3s, somewhere around there. Finished with an official 4.4, 4.4 flat, 170-some pounds. And you know what? Not the greatest, but he did have a good vertical, 40-inch verts, good broad jump, explosive. So explosive plus speed, but again, he's a little bit slight. Air yards guy. The guy didn't get downfield. Pumping up Marvin Mims. And really think about this. How much do you really have to break out initially? Because he's got an age 19 breakout age. Zay Flowers does. Josh Downs does. Marvin Mims is there. Jordan Addison, very similar. Again, Josh Downs has more production initially, but Marvin Mims has been through some shit at Oklahoma. Remember that Spencer Rattler shit that went down where Spencer Rattler went to hell and they had to throw him out. Caleb Williams came in, and then Caleb Williams went to USC. He went through some shit and came back this year and was productive. He posts a 4.38 40-yard dash. Sees it on tape that he's beating guys downfield. Has good ball skills. Had probably one of the best catches of the collegiate season last year. Marvin Mims is a baller. He's been through some stuff. Are we going to discount some of that production due to what we've been through? But again, when you see it on tape, we see the baseline metrics here. It's hitting close to these guys. Josh Downs, Flowers, and then Jordan Addison. Let's go back to Tier A here and look at Jordan Addison with Tier S. Look at Jordan Addison's athleticism compared to Downs and Flowers, possibly Mims. We're like kind of in the range here. We got similarities. Draft capital between Flowers and Addison is going to be interesting. There's a chance Flowers goes ahead of him. It might happen. Who knows? I'm guessing Addison will go ahead, but I don't know. I might put $1 on it, but it might be closer than what you think. Josh Downs going in the early second round isn't too far off from like the 120, 125-ish. Good landing spot matters. Landing spot's going to matter with these guys. Still have Jordan Addison ahead of these guys. I'm not moving, but you have to make that case. Like how much of this production you shooting after. Addison kills him in the production, especially that year in Pitt. Came over to USC. If he wasn't battling injuries, probably would have had a bigger season. Would have had a bigger season. Would have been more productive. Really would have ended on a high note. Very skillful. Very good highlights. Very good film. Jordan Addison was putting up numbers. Putting up plays. Say this, though, Josh Downs. Ball skills. Very elusive. Good route running. Zay Flowers gets downfield, has good route running. This is the class of good small wide receivers. Marvin Mims is small. He's like a $183. Runs a 4.38. Marvin Mims outran Jalen Hyatt at the 40-yard dash. Marvin Mims projects to get air yards at the NFL level. Marvin Mims looks like he's going to get the short to intermediate targets as well because he's also nuanced. He's also fluid. Marvin Mims looks like he's going to get draft capital. Day 2-ish somewhere. Maybe early third. Maybe somewhere in the second. Situation is going to matter for that guy as well. But he is trending up. He's been trending up all offseason. Let's go to Tier B. And this is where things really get rocky. It's rocky already. This isn't a good draft class. But things are starting to get rocky. Let's go with Raheem Jarrett. Kayshon Boutte. Parker Washington. So Kayshon Boutte fell. The thing is that 29-inch vert, I don't know if he's healthy. I don't know if he's not taking it serious. I don't know what's going on with him. Nobody does except for Kayshon Boutte and probably the people around him. We can speculate all day, but the thing is, it's not looking good. And we're not going to look good until it looks good. Even with this, I probably should be ranking him lower because it is kind of bad, but you don't want to like overshoot your shot either. I think Kayshon Boutte does have some good stuff in his game, but it's been a while. It's been a while. We just can't lock and load it. Raheem Jarrett is kind of like a micro Boutte. Coming in as a 5-star. Comes close to firing at the college level. Some decent market share stats. And it just doesn't happen. The workout metrics going into the collegiate season last year in 2022, it was supposed to be phenomenal. We heard reports of him testing big time. Then we come here to the combine, it doesn't happen. He doesn't test bad. He tests mid 4.4s on the 40. But honestly, from what we heard last fall, last late summer, whatever it was, going into August, he was supposed to test in the 4.3s. He was supposed to jump out the building. That didn't happen. That is putting a sour taste in my mouth, and I think it should stay there. But I'm also not going to jack him down. But I'm also going to mention it on the segment because what I think about him is the upside's still there. This wide receiver class sucks. So I'm just going to watch what happens with him. But more than likely, he's going to end up with C, D, E tier, somewhere around that when everything's said and done. Parker Washington did not run. but he's our thick boy slots. We got our skinny boy slots up top. We got our thick boy slot here. Good breakout age. Good breakout age also with a Jahan Dotson there. You have to take in the teammate score because the targets are being separated. He is a good wide receiver, a decent bet here when you're starting to move down the ranks. He is a silent killer in this year's class. He is a guy you want to look at here in the middle rounds of your rookie draft if the running backs are starting to calm down. You want to tear off from them. You're looking for a wide receiver, but they're off the board. Parker Washington might be your dude in the third round. Now it's Tier C. Isn't far off from Tier B. And some of them might end up in Tier B here soon. I'm talking like maybe in 5 days, and then when I do the next video or so. Trey Palmer, A.T. Perry, Cedric Tillman, Rashee Rice. Rashee Rice always sneaks up in there. I'm not a fan of him. However, he wasn't horrible at the combine. He does have some looks on tape. It's an older wide receiver prospect from a G5 school. Draft capital and landing spot's going to matter for me with him. Trey Palmer. I've been rising him up the ranks slowly each video. Had a very good 40, had a very good combine. Also, high-end high school prospect going to LSU. People were looking forward to him. People were thinking maybe he'd be in the next LSU breakout wide receiver. That didn't happen. Then he went to Nebraska last year. Blew it up. Had over a 30% market share of their passing production. Blew up the combine. Did well at the combine. You got to take note on that. It could be that late round wide receiver prospect that everybody goes after. Could be that. Let's see what the draft capital is. Let's see what the NFL thinks about him. On another note here, there aren't many wide receivers to go to once you get down with A tier. S and A tier are like your round 1, round 2 wide receivers, maybe a little bit in round 3. After that, it's a wild card. Some of these guys might go in round 2, like Cedric Tillman and Rashee Rice or something like that, because they have been crowd favorites. Speaking about Cedric Tillman, that 2021 season with over 1,000 yards, beautiful. He had a big run of games where he was productive. On top of that, though, contested catch machine. Contested catch machine means I need more separation from you as well on the film. I need you to start doing that. You had a decent combine. We need you to step it up. A.T. Perry had a decent combine. Some interesting market share numbers on the back end of his career. Good tape, because this guy's a baller too. Decent combine, but he is also a little bit older. He's a little bit older wide receiver prospect. So when you're playing against 18, 19, 20-year-old kids, you're supposed to play a little better against them. That's the thing. But A.T. Perry's film, his highlight package, his splits on tape and all that stuff, it does look good, especially on that back end of the career when he was getting more production. You want to take note on that. I wonder what the NFL is going to think about that. He could be a riser tier B. Trey Palmer could be. Cedric Tillman, I'm waiting on draft capital because I'm leery on the tape. I'm leery on that. And I'm also thinking what's going to happen from here. There's also an older wide receiver, so isn't Rashee Rice. I don't like Rashee Rice, but I don't want to be over dramatic on it either. But going to tier D, Xavier Hutchinson, Ronnie Bell, Andre Ivasquez, Nathaniel Dell, Michael Wilson, Puka Nacua. So here we go. We got a lot of jabronis here. Some big things we wanted to happen for these guys. Notice Xavier Hutchinson's in tier D now. I think at one time he was like tier B-ish, tier A-ish, or somewhere around there. I think it was a little bit higher on him. He's an older wide receiver. He was productive on the back 9 of his career. The combine wasn't too great. He's just starting to fade on me. I can make a case I can put him in C. That's not too harsh. I really just need draft capital. I need to see where he goes. You know what? Him and Rashee Rice, I can make sense out of that. I kind of can. So I can let you hang out there for now. We just got to keep it up, though. We got to fix this. Ronnie Bell in tier D. This guy's got an interesting collegiate profile. Decent breakout age. Decent production throughout his career. Remember, he had the knee injury. Set him back. He had to come back. That's why he's an older prospect. Would have been last year's class, but had the knee injury. Wasn't uber productive, but good market share metrics. It's got speed, a speedy slot guy. And then slot guys, they get drafted in the back 9. Those are usually teams that don't want to pay up for a slot guy because that's kind of expensive on an economic standpoint. So they wait, they get some cheap slots, Then they eventually work them in. We get that every so often. That could be a Ronnie Bell. Andre Avasis is the Jeff Janis of this class. Size-adjusted speed. Not like Jeff Janis, but small school prospect with athleticism. We get one every year. He's from Princeton. He can run on the 40 pretty good. Not like a Jeff Janis. Jeff Janis was more polarizing, but a lot of people hyped him up going into the Senior Bowl. And then after that, we got some more Senior Bowl hype. Nathaniel Tank Dell is 165 pounds. Let's be real. Let's be real. How many of those are putting up fantasy numbers? 165 pounds, failed the 40. He failed it for his size. And we got a lot of these people saying combine doesn't matter, times don't matter. It's tape, bro. It's tape. Well, pull up all the numbers over time. Look for all the slow 165 pounders. How many of them were productive and how many failed? And then you're going to see that. I want to see where the draft capital's at. I think he's a good wide receiver. I think he's slick, but there's just levels to this game, and the odds are stacked against you. Michael Wilson, Puka Nacua, they both did well at the Senior Bowl. It's not super productive. Older prospects, they didn't do anything to hurt themselves this weekend because they didn't do anything. So they are where they are. They're not standouts, but they are good for late rounders. These guys are killing me. Charlie Jones, Tyler Croft, Dontavian Wicks. I was hoping for more athleticism from Dontavian Wicks. Didn't happen. Charlie Jones is like almost 25. He is old. He's an old wide receiver. I think he turns 25 in like October. He was supposed to have this productive year if he was anything. He was supposed to do it. Like he's 25, 24 years old and balling out on 18-year-olds. You just can't do that. It just ain't right. Tyler Scott, you know what? It just ain't happening. Speed slot guy. I'd rather have Ronnie Bell. I'd rather take shots on other players. And this is how it is. So to recap here, S tier didn't change from usual. Jordan Addison, though, has some question marks, but they're not enough to move him up or down. He's going to be relatively in the same spot, but there are some question marks. There should be concerns. People say the combine doesn't matter. People say this and that. You need to be objective with it, and if you're saying that, you're not being objective with it. And you just watch me talk both sides of the spectrum about him, the good, the bad, the ugly, and everything else. Everything's got to be rolled up in a package. Josh Downs, Zay Flowers, Marvin Mims, Jalen Hyatt. One thing about these guys, they got some good things in their game. They do. They're all small. They're all 180 pounds or less. 185 or less. Just call it like that. That way no one's like trying to get exacta on their weights. 185 pounds or less. 185-ish is usually like the break off. And then you do not have many 170 pounders. A lot of people want to reach out to Devonta Smith. Don't reach out on outliers who have different circumstances. There are different things to their games, though. Josh Downs, good slot receiver. He's going to be a good slot receiver. Zay Flowers, you're going to get a little Tyler Lockett out of him, probably. Marvin Mims can get you the deep ball. He can go downfield. Jalen Hyatt can get you the deep ball, but Marvin Mims is a little more refined. He is more refined than Jalen Hyatt. Jalen Hyatt might get draft capital over him, though, so it's just going to be fun to watch. B, C, D, and E, crapshoot. But Parker Washington stands out right now. Kayshon Boutte, we're just seeing what happens. Raheem Jarrett. Devi, 5-star favorite who is fading. But he's an upside guy. He's a big upside guy. Really, now that I talk him, I think he really should be more like here or here. Honestly, if you're being real. But out of all these guys, if he goes in the right spot, really kicks in the gear, could really shoot up to here level. That's the difference. These guys can do it too. Like maybe Cedric Tillman, Trey Palmer. That's the thing about him. Kayshon Boutte is such a wild card. Now I think I'm solidified. D and E's the same pretty much. D and E's the same, except for E, I'm probably not touching. D, I might on some days. There are some other wide receivers I'm going to be adding to these rankings as we get closer to the combine, as we keep doing this. I do a rankings video about once a week on the wide receivers, and I add a guy or two in there. It's not because they're not worth being on here. It's just I want to add a guy, study that guy up a little bit more, refine some of my stuff here, and take it bit by bit. That way I'm just not just throwing guys in there, sliding them around, and just being junky with it. I really want to take some time and really go through the thought process before I go on here and do a thought process. So that's just the story of it all. So if someone's not on here, it's not because they're dead. Let me know in the comments if there's somebody you want me to add. I'll see about it. I'll see if I can get them in the next video. Also, you better hit that subscribe button. I'm the only one out here with 1 million combine videos. 1 million videos covering the NFL Combine, helping you with your rookie draft class. Helping you with these reactions, letting you know hit rates, letting you know what we saw on tape prior versus what we saw at the Combine, making comps, off the rip, and everything else. A guy would run his 40 and I'd just come back here. That happened a few times. Obviously, I gotta let these videos bake or I would do them back to back to back to back. But that is what happened over the weekend. Go view all those. Go view all those. Those helped with the rankings. I'll have more coming out, but the time of covering the Combine is almost over. The hit rate's almost done for that. But I want to thank you for watching. I'll catch you on the next video.